So it is finally happening. The rematch we've all been waiting for since 2006. Caesar versus Judge. Just kidding. It's finally time for Luffy versus Lucci. Round 2. And there's already so much going on in the series. Don't forget, Law and Blackbeard are basically fighting to the death. Meanwhile, Kuma is running wild and not even Dragon knows where he's going. Plus, Sabo is still missing. There's a whole mystery about these ancient weapons, but I'll have to get into that on another video. But wait, there's more. There's a very real chance we see another Seraphim showdown. We got a teaser earlier when the Straw Hats ran into S-Shark and the Lunarian cyborg version of Jinbei with the swim fruit. And now we're seeing S-Hawk is about to engage. So let's jump right in. Luffy versus Lucci, round 2 is finally here. We've all been waiting to see these two fight again, and it seems Oda will finally bless us. But how do these two match up since their last fight? Luffy's taken on Kaido, unlocked new gears, and even awakened his fruit. Does Lucci even stand a chance? I think this might be a Bellamy-style beatdown. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you ask me, Luffy's essentially a god now. Lucci should have zero chance in this fight, but I would love to see him try. Now I know some of you think that's a controversial opinion. Maybe we're underestimating Lucci, blah 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 blah. If you think Lucci wins, please tell me why. I want to see your thoughts in the comments. Now, I think Oda is setting us up to reveal a new Gear 4 form for Luffy. Why? Notice that Luffy's attack names are themed off animals and firearms. We have Grizzly Magnum, Rhino Shrider, Leo Bazooka. But if you recall Luffy's training on Rusakaina, there was a period where he befriended a giant gorilla, a giant crocodile, and a giant lion. Having trained with these three beasts for 2 years, Luffy developed some new moves, and surely he prepared for another fight with someone like Lucci. In my opinion, Bound Man, or Bounce Man, whichever you prefer, was probably developed to counter the giant gorilla he's been fighting on that island. And if that's the case, maybe Snakeman was developed to counter fighters like the Gorgon sisters. Interestingly, Gear 4 Snakeman was introduced in chapter 895. The numbers seem rearranged from chapter 598, where Luffy was shown completing his 2-year training on an island hidden by the Snake Princess and the Kuja pirates. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. You decide. If my theory is right, then we can expect a Gear 4 Leo Man. I sure hope we do, because I would love to see a leopard fight a lion. Since Lucci's fruit is also a Zoan, how many forms do you think Lucci has now? He's had 2 years to train, and he wasn't exactly weak to begin with, and I'm sure he's seen dozens of strong Zoan fighters in the past times. Notice his previous final attack, Six King Pistol, is now his opening move. Maybe that's a hint at just how strong he's gotten. I'm also going to tease another idea that I had for a different video, and if you want me to get on this one quickly, please let me know in the comments. If my theories about these Gear 4 forms are correct, then maybe there's yet another form, Gear 4 K-Man. And in this form, Luffy would likely inflate his fangs, similar to his bone balloon, and reinforce his head and neck muscles, especially with Haki. I think this would give him some devastating biting power, and it would make sense if Rayleigh insisted that Luffy learn a way to deliver some kind of cutting or slashing damage, especially since that's his weakness. And what if he comes across an opponent who's immune to his blunt force strikes? And then we have this wild card, Sentomaru. Can we trust him? I thought he was with the world government, and he even fought Luffy back on Sabaody Archipelago. But Vegapunk isn't a fool, and he wouldn't give away control of such powerful Seraphim to someone that could use it against him. At least I don't think he would. This is why I'm partially convinced Sentomaru is actually a descendant of a sumo family in Wano, and is actually working undercover just like Kuma was. Hence why Vegapunk trusts him. I can go into this in a lot more detail in another video that I'll drop soon. If you want to see it any faster, make sure you put a comment below. Moving on to my predictions for chapter 1069. I think Franky and Vegapunk will eventually end up working together to build something incredible. Vegapunk has repeatedly complained about overflowing with ideas, not having enough manpower, and struggling with research assistants that can't keep up with his blueprints. He even said his hands were so full he'd take help from a cat. Well, then who better than Franky to lend a hand? I have a whole theory about how I think the Sunny might actually be based off of Pluton blueprints that Franky memorized, but I'll get into that in another video. I even think that Franky and Vegapunk will work together to design automata, small little robotic helpers, similar to the ones that we saw on chapter 488. I think with these little robotic assistants, Egghead's research and development speed would go up like crazy. Not only that, back in chapter 596, when Franky landed on the island of Baltimore, he definitely spent time reading through all of Vegapunk's research and blueprints, and he pointed out some things I highlighted here. If you look at my channel description, you'll get some hints on some videos I'm going to make later about these cyborg animals, about the devil fruits, about the Lunarians, about the ancient technology, and how it's all connected. And frankly, who's better than Franky? Vegapunk Edison was impressed when he witnessed Franky's radical beam, and I don't think Vegapunk has seen his laser technology replicated anywhere else besides his own PX series and the Seraphim. And of course, the actual devil fruit that I think was based off of, Kizaru's. But I have a sneaking suspicion we might learn some dark truths about Vegapunk, especially his evil side. Early on, we see Nami ask Vegapunk Lilith, the evil satellite, what powers the entire lab? And Lilith replies with a somewhat cryptic answer. You could say the whole island runs on fire. Why does she phrase it that way? Seems like she's hiding something and has an interest in alternative fuels. And I wonder what that could possibly be. She mentions an eternal flame. Well, this made me think about who else had fire powers, and some dark experiments ran back on Punk Hazard. Could it be that Vegapunk is referring to some kind of Lunarian fire? Maybe something was learned from those painful experiments that the young king had to endure. But if Vegapunk designed the Seraphim, and he's in search of an eternal flame, could he be using them as furnaces to power this entire lab? And here is where I will drop my final biggest theory from this chapter. I think Vegapunk will eventually work together with Luffy to recreate his fruit, the sun god Nika, so that he can create an artificial sun that provides near limitless energy. This starts going deeper into nuclear physics, Kardashev scales, and harnessing all the energy of a star. Something I'm sure Vegapunk has thought a lot about, and a topic I am eager to dive into with all of you. So stay tuned for more. Make sure to like and leave a comment and subscribe so you definitely don't miss that next update.